So what's today's secret word, Cocky?
Today's secret word is...
neutrality.
Now, you all remember what to do whenever anyone says
Says the secret word, right?
scream!
Right!
Perhaps I could use this as an excuse to go to those far-off planets with little polka-dotted people if necessary, and be able to talk about love, war, nature, God, sex, all those things that go to make up the excitement of the human condition.
I'm Captain James Kirk.
Captain Kirk.
Of the Starship Enterprise.
And the ineluctable Mr. Spock.
Mr. Spock, my first officer.
Spock?
I can't imagine.
Kirk. Of the Starship Enterprise.
Did I ever tell you about the time I saved Captain Kirk's life?
Kirk. Of the Starship Enterprise.
What a blessing to be able to live one's life over again. If the life you've led has left you unfulfilled.
Joel on True, and welcome to Humanist Trek. It's a comedy Star Trek podcast about the humanism in Star Trek. I'm high as a kite.
And I'm on mushrooms. No. Let's do that again.
And I'm not taking shit from anybody today. And I chose violence.
We're putting this whole thing in there.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Okay, fine. I'm Sarah Ray.
And I'm Allie Ashmead. I will say I chose violence this morning.
Okay.
I don't really do Facebook that much anymore, but I came across this post. It was sort of like a sponsored post it's sort of like a self-help type guy. He's not a psychologist or anything, but he has guests on that like tell you how to live your life. And this guy, to be honest, isn't bad. He's one of the guys that I don't mind listening to because he has different people on.
Okay.
But this one post had this dude talking about how women should be submissive to men in relationships.
Ugh.
And I'm like, oh hell no. and I think I had seen this clip before. Women need to submit to men to let them lead in the relationship instead of saying, oh, I got this. He said he gave women a choice of, do you want someone who's going to love you and never cheat on you and take care of you? But to do that, you have to be submissive. And he said 90% of the women said no. I think he's using the word submissive wrong.
Yeah. But
the fact that he used the word submissive, maybe he did mean it. And the fact that it's coming from a man of what women need to do in a relationship. Oh, I just went the fuck off. I said, and I normally I don't even comment on this shit, but I had to. I was like, I couldn't let it go. And it was one of those, like, I'm probably just going to type this and then delete it. But no, I went ahead and posted it, and then I got lots of comments and likes and whatever. But I'm like, here we are in 2024 talking about being submissive to men. You should be partners.
Yeah. So somebody posted recently, like, this magazine article in the UK from the 1940s or 50s or something. But it was very much all of that, like, don't put your curlers in until your husband goes to sleep because you don't want him to see you like that and shit like
Fuck
that,
off.
right? Oh, yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah, have his meal ready when he walks in the door and give him a handy or whatever. It's just dumb shit. Like,
fuck off.
Yeah, the fucking patriarchy.
And there was a woman that said, did you listen to the whole thing? I'm like, yes, Linda, I listened. Linda. And no, thank you. I got this. It's like, you enjoy being led. I'm going to be over here being happy. Thank you.
Right.
And then there were some men in the comments that were dragging other people. Oh, well, you probably can't get a man anyway. Look at you single.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
As if that is the pinnacle of what we aspire to. So, yeah, I was pissed. I was like on the keyboard, you know. And I don't even do that anymore. So
I got to tell you, I think we're all not taking as much bullshit in the moment. And I know my personal situation is definitely like feeding into that. But if you're voting third party in this election, blockity block. I got no time for that shit. Like, yeah, the Democrats have their problems. Every fucking party does. But right now, they're the closest to the goal that I want our society to be. I guess vote your conscience, vote how you feel, whatever. But if you're voting third party, you're voting against me. And I ain't got time for that. And I definitely don't have the emotional fortitude to see it right now. And so I am prolifically blocking and removing. And there was a point in the last 24 hours I thought about doing that temporary deactivation for a little bit, just to take a break.
Yeah.
Because it's getting nasty out there.
Oh!
It's getting hot in here. Yeah. That is why I've disengaged from Facebook a lot, like this year. Just, I don't post as much unless I'm like going somewhere and doing something. Otherwise, you won't see me doing a whole lot of posting. And then I find myself, because of that angst I feel when I see other people just, going off on certain things. I'm like, I don't want to engage in that anymore for my own mental health. And I'm just, you know what? People are going to think what they're going to think, regardless of whether there's Facebook or not.
Yep.
So let's just pretend I don't know what they think, because I can't deal with the mental health aspect of it. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm seriously considering taking a break.
You know how you get that little bit of a dopamine every time you post something and someone likes it and you got to check it. Mm-hmm. I just gave that up a little bit. I don't care. I just don't care. Say what you want. Post your shit. But today I chose violence. I did.
Well, you know who else is not taking much bullshit? This week, we're not taking bullshit from the Orions. As we talk about Star Trek The Animated Series Season 2, Episode 1, The Pirates of Orion.
Sir, contact with an object. It's moving toward us. No visual contact yet.
Deflectors, full intensity. Mr. Sulu. Yes, Captain. Anything on your scanners?
It's coming at light speed.
Collision course. Visual contact. Anything, over?
All wavelengths dominated by ionization effects, sir.
All engines full stop.
The Enterprise crew is just coming down from a nasty pandemic. Masks, social distancing, some grunts in the lower decks refusing to go to sickbay for the vaccine.
Something called choreocytosis swept through the Enterprise. And although wasn't serious like pneumonia, everyone's now okay and there shouldn't be any problem, going on to their next mission.
And off to the next adventure. Everything's fine.
Yeah, so and their next mission is to be on Deneb 5, representing the Federation in some sort of dedication ceremony for the new Academy of Science.
This is some ribbon cutting bullshit is what this is. This is some diplomatic bullshit.
Yeah.
He's like, we're out exploring the galaxy. Now I got to go do this dumb diplomatic thing and shake hands and kiss babies and
They completely made that up, but yeah.
If Deneb 5 sounds familiar, it's because it's one of the many planets that Harry Mudd scammed by texting, "Hey, my name is Harry. Do you happen to be open to hearing what we can give you for the address that you haven't lived at since 2019? I get those texts all the time. For 3 addresses ago, I've moved 3 times, and he's still texting me about that address.
They're still trying to buy my house 2 houses ago.
Yes.
I'm like, dude, you know what? I should say yes.
I always reply 2 million minimum, like some ridiculous number. But on the bridge, not all is as well as McCoy apparently led us to believe, because Kirk's making small talk with Spock, and Spock just seizes up and keels over.
He passes the fuck out. And they get him to sick bay, and there's bad news. McCoy, we know he's a shit doctor. And let me just say, I've got a whole rant throughout this episode.
Oh, yes.
About him. Nothing new, but he says that Spock has this choreocytosis. And it turns out that in races with iron-based blood, it's nothing, like a cold. But because Spock has this copper-based green blood, it's fatal to Vulcans.
Now, and I don't think you need to be Anthony Fauci to question this. If this is if this COVID-19 cytosis is a known disease and known to affect Vulcans in this way, where was the effort to protect Spock in the first place? Why isn't he should be locked in his quarters with a stay-at-home order and reroute the atmospheric controls in his room or whatever to isolate the air in his cabin. Like, where's the masks and vaccines and the stay 6 feet apart stickers on the floor?
If he was any kind of doctor other than a country doctor that he always says, he would have quarantined Spock.
Yes.
And thought ahead, okay, this is how this disease acts on iron-based blood. Maybe I should quarantine Spock away from everyone else, but no. And he's also, I'm so surprised. I can't even believe Spock's sick. Oh, he's gonna die. It's almost like you're trying to kill him. Anyway.
It's a Saturday morning cartoon.
I know. And that's like, in my head, I wanted to just rage the whole episode, but I'm like, it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
It's a cartoon.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to say
this is the Smurfs in space. We can't get too crazy.
I know.
Well,
but it is still Star Trek, though, too.
Oh, yes, indeed. Well, there's only one cure for this type of Rona, a naturally occurring drug called marijuana. Okay.
Marijuana's bad, and it also has a very distinct smell, okay? I'm going to pass around just a little tiny bit, and I want you all to take a smell so you know when someone is smoking marijuana near you. Okay, just take a smell, pass it on, and when it gets back up to me, we'll finish talking about it.
Marijuana's bad, okay?
Okay.
And it's only found on a few planets in the galaxy, but the closest planet, Beta Cannabis, it is too far to get to before Spock kicks the bucket. So McCoy, of all people, comes up with the plan. Why don't we meet in the middle? Surely there's a ship closer to the planet. They can pick up the drugs, do the handoff. It's Becca's dad in Broward County all over again. That joke will make sense later.
There's a ship called the Potemkin near Beta Cannabis. They're going to pass the drug off to a freighter, the SS Huron, and then they're going to rendezvous with the Huron.
Meanwhile, Kirk and McCoy are in the conference room discussing their patient. Expect symptoms like working in a low oxygen atmosphere, something they had to test on at the academy. And then Spock knocks on the door.
Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk.
Again, where are the door chimes?
I know. Wait, and yeah, it should just open, like, you know.
Maybe the door was locked for patient confidentiality reasons, HIPAA laws or something.
He's the patient. Spock is the patient. Why lock him out? So Spock comes in and they talk about Spock's prognosis. It's not going to be great. He's going to have to be on half duty, which Spock isn't really happy about, but just until they get the drug, because he's really only got like 48 hours before it becomes fatal.
Now, I know this is probably item 1 on your list of McCoy topics for the day.
Yes.
So McCoy says, as much as it might seem at times that I can't stand that pointy-eared encyclopedia, I don't want to see that happen to him.
And why was that even necessary? But come on, the racism.
It makes me wonder if they're, is this an attempt to try to turn around the McCoy racism and like, yeah, I know I'm kind of a dick sometimes, but I really do like him. Was that like what we were trying to do?
Maybe that's what they were going for, but I think the audience liked that sort of banter between the two of them. I just think they overdo it. They just hammer in on that one thing. But it touched me a little bit to hear Kirk say that it hurts to see him like that.
Yeah.
And that's, just an indication of how much Kirk actually does care about that pointy-eared bastard.
I got into it. Speaking of getting into shit on Facebook, I got into it the other day in a thread where someone brought up this way that McCoy speaks to Spock, pointing out how racist it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you wouldn't believe the number of people in the comments. Yeah, you would.
Okay.
That were like, well, in the military, this is just kind of how we talk. We fuck with each other and burp. Like, there were so many people that were like, it's just friendly ribbing, whatever. And I had to be like, no, that's like terrible. What the fuck is wrong with you? Star Trek still has a lot to teach a lot of us.
Right. And the excuse that, it's in the military is not
Doesn't
the
make
flex
it right.
you think.
Yeah.
It's not the flex you think it is, honey.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. What it actually says is, wow, there's a lot of assholes in the military. We get a shot of the Huron, and this is kind of a fun ship design. It's almost Star Warsian in a way, but then there's the classic like Star Trek nacelles jutting out of the top of it, which was fun.
Yeah.
The bridge crew of the Huron are all familiar voices, of course. Scotty voices the captain, O'Shea. And at the forward stations, Majel voices Lieutenant Redshirt and George Takei voices Lieutenant Goldshirt.
O'Shea is just remarking that we've got an important drug on board, and the sooner we get to the Enterprise and drop this shit off, we can get back to shipping dilithium.
They've got a bogey on course to intercept them, and it's too early to be the Enterprise. On the Enterprise, they're an hour 43 away from rendezvous, and Scotty promises to squeeze a bit more out.
But in the meantime, it's time for another shot for Spock, because they're going to need to administer the synthetic drug that he's created just to hold off the choriocytosis.
Okay, so we know that Spock is in a weakened state. He doesn't have much energy to waste at this point, and rather than bring up the shot to the bridge himself, which we've seen him do before, or send Chapel up with it, they call up and, hey, send Spock down to the doctor's office so we can give him his shot. Where the fuck is M'Benga?
I know.
We need some
right?
M'Benga back.
Or we need the mobile emitter unit. Please state the nature of the medical emergency. So they're trying to talk to Spock, and Spock doesn't answer right away because he is trying his hardest to keep his shit together.
He's in low power mode to conserve energy. Yeah.
Pretty much. You got to like wiggle the mouse or something.
His screensaver came on. And it's just the Starfield. The old Windows 95 Starfield.
Exactly. But he admits, he's like, I'm sorry, I was conserving energy. And so he off to sick bay he goes. Meanwhile, back on the Huron bridge, Sulu space, whoever, identifies the ship as an alien ship, and it's a design that he's never seen before. And it looks to me like some sort of red moth creature, but that's the shape of the ship.
It reminded me a lot of all of the other red and yellow creatures we've seen on this show so far, too. The three-headed dragon, I think, was one. The water one. What was the one in the water world?
That was also some sort of snake. Sea snake.
Sur snake. Holy shit, we did it.
Correct.
A Sur snake.
We did it.
Sur snake.
I don't feel bad about getting the question wrong.
And then also the guy with the vagina, we call him vagina head.
Vendorian?
He was a Vendorian.
Something.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, him too.
Anyway, it's on an intercept course, and it'll overtake the Huron before the Enterprise gets to them.
And then we're back in sick bay for another exchange from McCoy and Spock is laying on the table at McCoy's mercy and his horrible bedside manner. He's like, this won't hurt a bit, Spock. And of course, Spock is like, well, actually, he does that to him.
Well,
He's
McCoy
like,
pulls out this massive fucking needle and says, it won't hurt a bit. And Spock's like, yeah, you've said that before.
And he's like, it's a really unnecessary assurance. Plus, it's also not true. And McCoy gets all butthurt, saying, well, I'm not going to waste my bedside manner on you. And Spock's like, fine, because I don't want to hear it anyway. That kind of thing. He tries to get up, and McCoy pushes him back down and says, hold on there, partner. And I don't know where I'm coming up with this. But there's this weird, I don't know how to describe the monitor they're looking at over Spock's head to see if the shot's taking effect or something. I don't know. It was like this, what do you call those squiggly lines
like
you
a
see on
like a polygraph.
electric? Yeah, one of those. And then it goes all frizzy and then it goes straight. And then he's like, okay, back to work. And then Chapel and McCoy having a quick conversation that the drug isn't really working anymore.
There needs to be a parody remake of Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, Dr. McCoy, Medicine Idiot.
And they should put him out in the prairie.
Yeah.
With his hypospray, and he's just trying to hypospray everyone, even cows and chickens and humans, and that would be funny.
On the Huron, they're trying to radio this alien vessel, and it seems like they're receiving the transmission, just choosing not to respond. So they drop the Danger Music album onto the record player and try to do some evasive maneuvers. But this is a cargo ship. It's so good.
I love it.
But this is a cargo ship. Come on, they can't really evasive maneuver a cargo ship very well.
Not really. But it doesn't work anyway. And the alien's still with them. So I'm glad they shoot off a message to the Enterprise before the alien finally responds and say, prepare to surrender your cargo or be destroyed.
On the Enterprise, Uhura picks up the distress beacon and tries calling the Huron, but it's no use. So they change course from the original meetup spot and arrive to find the Huron pretty fucked up. They barely have life support, and it looks like they were attacked. But just then, Spock collapses again.
Back to sickbay for him.
For some more racist shit.
Right, because he's already dealing with this choreocytosis, and then he's got to deal with McCoy's mouth. But McCoy is determined that the drug is not even working anymore. And then he says something, but I'm like, oh, what the fuck? He's angry. And he's like, blasted Vulcan, why couldn't you have red blood like any normal human?
A few points, sir. He's not a normal human, first of all. And also change red blood to white skin. And read that sentence again.
Exactly.
On the bridge, Eric's has taken over Spock's station, and they're unable to make contact with the Huron, but there are life signs aboard. So Kirk is taking Scotty, Uhura, and Chapel to beam over. And what they find is the crew like all passed out at their stations, dead, passed out. We're not really sure. There's a lot.
I was like, "Oh, am I going to write a rhyme?" Probably not. But
no. And there's all kinds of like cutting back and forth here. But essentially, Scotty goes to the hold and finds the cargo missing. Uhura finds a bunch of floppy disks, but the monitor is out, so they have to take those back to the Enterprise to play them. And Chapel says that the captain is going to be all right. He just needs surgery. So back on the Enterprise, they have O'Shea in sickbay now, and he's expected to be fine. But Spock only has 20 hours left.
Back on the bridge, Eric runs the sensor tapes, and they see the red moth ship, and they've never seen it before, but they can track it because apparently this ship is literally shitting radioactive waste in the air, so they can follow the trail of radioactive.
When I was a custodial manager in Disney, my team taught me chorrito. So if you pull the trash bag out, this is deep custodial cut here.
Okay.
When you pull a trash bag out of the can, if it's dripping shit, you're supposed to have double bagged it. Mm-hmm. So you double bag it so it doesn't chorrito as you carry it.
No, chorrito?
Carry it down.
Good to know.
I also have a complaint to file at this moment because later in the episode, Scotty or somebody sees the sticker on the ship, right, with the symbol on it and goes, oh, that's Orion. Okay, but if you saw the image of the ship right here from the record tapes, why didn't somebody see the little decal and go, oh, that's an Orion ship?
I don't know. Good point. Very good point. So at this point, they don't know what it is. So they're going to follow the trail of radioactive shit. Now, back in McCoy's office, Kirk is really worried about Spock, and McCoy's going to have to put him on a respirator to help him breathe soon because there's pretty much oxygen in his blood is going to be depleted. And then McCoy McCoy says he's pretty down on himself at this point, and he's like, man, what's the use of being a doctor anyway? We're only as good as our drugs and our technology make us. Underneath all the tricks, I might as well be practicing in the Middle Age. And then that goes back to what you said. There is more to being a doctor. I mean, I'm not a doctor.
There should
but there's
be.
more.
Yes.
But there's, thinking ahead and thinking about your patients as a whole, like in thinking about, okay, I'm a doctor in space. Maybe I need to think about other than humans.
Yeah.
Anticipate and quarantine and do all the things that doctors do in addition to giving you fucking prescription.
Right. On the bridge, the radioactive leak trail leads us to an asteroid belt. Perfect place for a ship to hide. But as they start to approach, shit starts exploding because apparently there's some highly unstable mineral combination in the asteroids that makes them explode when they collide. There's a smidge of Star Trek optimism here that you might miss if you're not looking for it. There's these explosive asteroids blowing up all around them. They're hunting an alien ship of who knows what strength. Like, it's a real possibility this mission doesn't end well.
Yeah.
Except that it's a Saturday morning cartoon. But Scotty's like, we could harness the power of those rocks and make a fantastic source of energy. And Kirk's like, yeah, or a weapon. Like, I thought, well, maybe that's a setup for later, or maybe it's just some Starfleet optimism. Like, we're going to get out of this, and then let's study these asteroids because they look really useful and we could do some shit with them.
Yeah, always looking for power.
We'll see.
Their deflectors are up, and they see the bat ship. They've scanned it, and their phasers are pretty weak. They're not even worried about defending themselves against these guys. And then that's when Eric's says, oh, I recognize the ship's markings, as if maybe it wasn't clear in the photo, but now that they are, face to face with the ship, he's saying it's an Orion, which, they do say Orion versus Orion.
Then Uhura gets a call on and puts it on screen. And now these guys are blue, like light-skinned blue people with green jumpsuits on. And so either these are definitely not canon Orions, or maybe they have a wide range of skin pigmentation like humans.
I did read that it was meant to be the same race.
Yes, Memory Alpha definitely considers these to both be the same.
Although I don't trust anything from there
true.
anymore. So
the Orion captain and ensign are voiced by Jimmy, while the lieutenant is voiced by guest star Norm Prescott, who also just happened to be co-founder of Filmation and producer of Star Trek, the Saturday morning special. And in reading about him, I learned that he and his production partner, Lou Scheimer, won a Daytime Emmy for this crazy-ass show.
Yeah.
For Outstanding Entertainment Children's Series. Well done.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I think he was also involved in like Superman, Adventures of Superman or something like that, and also Fat Albert. I was like, hey.
Oh, I love Fat Albert.
Hey. Yeah. That was the shit.
And I'm gonna sing a song for you.
I liked the live action one that came out several years ago too. Did you see that one?
No.
It was okay. This was back in the day when I was ripping DVDs off of fucking LimeWire or whatever, right?
Oh yeah, early 2000s.
Yeah. So
I still have an old stack of CD, like a tower, like a blank CDs. I'm like,
no
what
shit.
should I do with those?
So this was a 2004 Cosby production. Fat Albert. Keenan Thompson played Fat Albert.
Oh,
did you see this one?
Yeah. I have seen it. I thought you said a few years ago, but this was
a few years. Listen,
girl, it's 20 years ago.
1998 was a few years ago. Okay.
Girl, that was 20 years ago. I'm like, I remember because Keenan. Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. They went through the TV to get into. Yeah. That was a good one. I liked that. The Orion captain tries to claim neutrality. all of the characters in Pee-wee's Playhouse scream every time the word neutrality is said, because holy shit, that's this theme of the episode.
Yeah.
But Kirk's like, well, you remember that dumb episode of Star Trek, the original series, Journey to Babel, where the Enterprise was attacked with a bunch of delegates on board, and we're pretty sure it was you people trying to disrupt the conference and loot a bunch of dilithium from Corridon. You remember that? And isn't it interesting that our sensors show your cargo hold is just jammed full with dilithium, bursting at the seams? Dilithium you stole from our cargo ship. Your Honor, I rest my case.
Oh, but no, neutrality. Diplomatic immunity. You can't touch me.
You can't touch me.
Can't touch me. And they also flat out fucking lied and says, we don't have your drug. But Kirk takes a minute, takes a beat. They're on hold for a second where Kirk thinks about this, and then he comes back to the Orion vessel and makes a proposal, which is a very generous proposal. He's like, if you do have the Huron cargo, which they know that they do, there were some really perishable drugs on there that we really, really kind of need. And so Orion's ears perks up, and they're like, oh, well, if we did have these drugs, how much are they worth to you? Man, it sounds like Ferengi.
Humans used to be a lot worse than the Ferengi. Slavery, concentration camps, interstellar wars. We have nothing in our past that approaches that kind of barbarism. You see, we're nothing like you. We're better.
Kirk says, you keep the dilithium shipment, and I'll forget about this whole thing.
He says,
I'll even give you.
Yeah.
But wait, there's more.
I'll give you what's behind door number 1 and what's in the box. All you have to do is give me back the prize that you won earlier. Yeah. Yeah, this is a ridiculous deal.
I know, but it does speak to how much Kirk is willing to go, how far he's willing to go,
right, to
save his friend's life. And Orion are like, wait, we get what we want plus our neutrality remains intact. And then they don't jump at it. They're like, let me put you on hold. And it's their turn to
lots of holds on this phone call. They check in with McCoy briefly. Spock has less than an hour left. Orion's on the phone again. They're not prepared to trust Kirk just yet, and they counteroffer a face-to-face exchange on the surface of a nearby asteroid. Asteroids, we just established, are explosive.
I know, and I swear, they just be landing on asteroids all the time, just beaming down asteroids. And I think we've managed to land something on an asteroid, but they're regularly going down and beaming in on an asteroid.
And they would have to have, so obviously the life support belt established in the animated series. But they would also have to have some sort of gravity boot, I would think, because the gravity is not going to be on an asteroid.
There's no gravity. I would imagine none.
Yeah.
But there they are.
I'm not
that's what they're going to do.
Astrophysicist PhD, but that's what I think.
Oh, Sarah, do your fucking research. Don't be pig ignorant. Do your fucking research.
Kirk, McCoy, and Scotty have a chat in the conference room, but this isn't a Picard, let's go around the room and share ideas kind of meeting. Kirk has already made up his mind, of course. He's going, whether it's a trap or not, and it's the only way to get the medicine and the only way to save Spock. But he's also going to take some sensible precautions. Communicator channel stays open so they can hear everything. We'll keep a transporter lock on the entire time, which all of this should be like SOP.
Standard, yeah.
Right? And then he turns to Scotty and he's like, I'm trusting you. Don't fuck this up.
But back on the Orion, what is it? Jesus. Orion. But because I just automatically say Orion.
I know. I'm thinking of it in my mind. I picture the word in Irish. It's O''Rion. Orion.
Orion. Seamus Orion. Anyway, and I'll just think of that now. So back on the Orion bridge, they're plotting. They know they can't outshoot or outrun the Enterprise because their ship is shit. They don't want to sacrifice Orion's official neutrality. And they can't trust Kirk that he won't report them to Starfleet. So they want to destroy the Enterprise, but in order to do that, because those asteroids are explosive, they're going to end up destroying themselves too. So their plan is, because the asteroids are highly explosive, they're going to he's going to take some dilithium and basically commit suicide. He's going to be a suicide bomber. Basically, they're going to take Kirk with them. They're like, we're going to have to kill ourselves and take Kirk with us because we can't sacrifice neutrality.
On the Enterprise, Kirk calls up the Orions and accepts their terms. 15 minutes, and they'll beam to an asteroid to make the handoff. 15 minutes later, the two captains beam onto the asteroid with their yellow, glowy life support belts around them. And the Orion captain holds the medicine, offers Kirk a chance to scan it to be sure. And then we get some cuts back and forth as the Enterprise bridge crew is listening in, and they hear the whole plot. Kirk grapples with the Orion on the asteroid. Note, there are no Star Trek punches thrown. This is no Star Trek fight. This is a grapple. And I think that was a Saturday morning cartoon thing. But then, for a Saturday morning kids show, the very next bit of dialogue is, all unsuccessful Orion missions end in suicide. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, that goes right out the window there, because it's not really Saturday morning cartoon material either.
No.
It's like, I'm going to blow us both up. No. Scotty on the bridge has an idea to beam the dilithium up to the Enterprise so that the explosive device is no longer explosive. And then they beam up Kirk and the Orion.
Kirk does that classic, like, grab the other guy as the transporter engages so you get both beamed up. And they materialize on the Enterprise where security is standing by. The Orions detect this, of course, and arm their self-destruct sequence.
Do you guys have a self-destruct code, like destruct sequence 1A, 2B, 3?
Thanks a lot, Decay. Now everybody knows.
They're just like the biggest cowards. Oh no, we're gonna kill ourselves. We can't be taken. We can't face failure. Jeez.
And not only that, on the Enterprise bridge, the Orion captain is about to take some kind of suicide pill, but they're able to get it away from him just in time.
And they put him in, basically, they have him in custody.
Kirk takes this opportunity to inform the Orion captain that they're not going to let him unalive himself. Even if the Orion ship self-destructs, he will stand trial, and Orion's neutrality and piracy can get fucked.
Good. They are the suicidingest people I've ever seen.
Right? And apparently this neutrality business may not be as important to these individual Orions as they claimed, because Kirk calls up the Orion ship and they stand down self-destruct and prepare to surrender. Chair chat on location in sickbay this week. The Orion crew is in the brig, their ship is in tow, and McCoy is gloating his ass off at Spock.
Yeah. Stupid. He's like, there's no way you can deny it. And I think he was trying to get Spock to say something like, yeah, red blood is better than green blood.
Right.
And he goes on about, like, I've waited so long to hear this, and you're not going to cheat me. And so McCoy says, well, that green blood of yours may have saved you before, but not this time. And you can't deny it.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is he supposed to say? He can't do any fucking thing about his blood. Spock does say that he prefers his green blood to McCoy's, and they're back to normal.
Boy, I'm sure glad that's over with.
I'm happy the affair is over.
Me too.
A most annoying, emotional episode.
Yeah, but you know, I learned something today.
When dreams become more important than reality, you give up travel, building, creating.
One jealous god, if all this makes a god.
By sparing your helpless enemy, who surely would have destroyed you, you demonstrated the advanced trait of mercy.
Frankly, I was rather dismayed by your use of the term half-breed. You must admit, it is an unsophisticated expression.
There is some needs of the few or the one going on here, right? Particularly in putting everything at risk to save Spock, and Kirk's willingness to try to work with the enemy to meet this goal is, maybe this is a nod to that idea we talk about setting aside maybe some of your long-term differences to achieve a short-term goal.
Yeah, to get his friend back, to try to save a life.
Right.
But it is the needs of the one.
Oh, for sure.
The needs of the one. What a one, though. I would do it. I'd save you too, Spock. I would.
But see, I would argue it's not the needs of Spock. It's the needs of Kirk who needs Spock.
That's true. Spock would have been like, you know what? Let me die. He would have been that selfless. But I found it interesting the amount of references to suicide in this episode. First, when they're plotting to kill themselves, and as long as they take Kirk with him, they're okay.
Right.
Then there's the self-destruct on the ship where everyone was willing to do this. Obviously, it's built into their, society or being part of the crew, is they know they're going to have to do it. And then the pill, the captain's about to take the pill. It's a suicide attempt after suicide attempt.
You're right.
What is that? I'm trying to figure out, what is that trying to say, if anything? Is it about a certain group of people, or I don't know. That's not the easy way. They're taking the easy way. I don't know what they're trying to say.
It made me think about it in the context of justice too. The Orions have wronged others, and rather than letting them suicide, you're gonna stand trial. And I don't know if I have strong feelings about that, but I know, like, thinking about Trump's pedo buddy. What was that guy's
Vance?
name? He had he ran the island. Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein. So that's an apparent suicide, and if you're on the side of that's bullshit, he should have to suffer in prison for the rest of his life. Are we suffering? Is that a wish of punishment or retribution? Or is it justice? Like, I think about people that see that, and the coward's way out, right? That think
it's not just the coward's way out, but it's like almost having the last word in a way. Like, I win, I killed myself, I didn't let you do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost like that as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Weird. It was very weird.
It's weird. I know that this was like rated one of the best episodes, like you said. And even there's somebody said something from a magazine, and I'm going to quote this. It's like, a cat and mouse game with the Orions and some classic Spock and McCoy scenes make for a great episode. And it got like 4 out of 5. And it was, I don't know. Don't get it. But the whole racism trope, it's so old. And I know the whole time I'm like, it's just a cartoon. It's just a cartoon. Calm down. The whole, oh, you're an alien and I'm a human, and green blood, pointy ear, yuck, that kind of thing. They're just always hammering on that. And I'm so ready to get past that into TNG, where they move past that particular type of pettiness just for comedy.
Yeah.
I just think they harped on it a lot in this episode.
Well, and another thing I thought about was, and this is TV movie trope of old, a classic. All Orions are X, right? And so we portray an entire race or an entire species as being this sort of monolith, rather than the diversity of the people that would be in those races. And so I think this is an intentional, because amongst the Enterprise crew, we don't get that tension of, except for the McCoy Spock bullshit, right? But we're not getting Eric's. All Eric's race people are X, and this is just how they all are. And you don't get that as much within the circle. And then to show the way that we do that, the way that humans tend to group people by doing that with an alien race, reflects back to us that that's some bullshit we do that we should not do.
Yeah, 100%.
Did you just say something about a magazine?
Yeah.
I have something to show you that's magazine related.
Uh-oh. What the fuck?
Humanist Trek's parent company, Sarah Austin Media, LLC, used some of our funds to purchase this. This is
Is it a comic?
It is the Humanist magazine where Gene Roddenberry had his very deep, long-form interview about his humanism.
Oh, man.
Guess where I bought it from?
Where?
Intergalactic Trading Company.
Oh, sweet. And that's cool that they still have it in plastic. So you need to get...
I'm going to frame it, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave it in plastic. Don't open it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was it 1991?
I think, yeah.
Because he passed away in 91, I think. I want to say.
His acceptance speech for the award at the AHA, you could tell he was of age and, was starting to struggle with things. I mean, he got to sex within the first 5 minutes. So,
yeah.
Good
old Gene.
Good old
All
Gene.
Right. The very last thing is just a comment, not necessarily humanism, but just my continuation of my rage towards McCoy.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the way that they portray McCoy's medical ability as well. Because he said something about what am I without my drugs and stuff. He feels useless without them. But then he also blames the patient when their physiology doesn't meet his expectations.
Right.
And I have that problem. He does that all the time. And he's like, oh, if only you were this.
Yeah. Yeah. If only you were human. It's
if
always
only you
a
were
human
a
bias.
good doctor.
Yeah.
If only you were a fucking doctor. And I just hate the way that they portray him as opposed to everybody else in their professions. Like Scotty's a great engineer. Spock's an amazing scientist, but McCoy is the worst at his assigned job. And I know it's a cartoon, it's a show. It was in the 60s and 70s. I know. And they've definitely moved past that. But
well, while we're at the end of this bit, I will go back to this social media post that I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
The post was about the original series episode All Our Yesterdays, and this is the one where Spock's losing his mind and he gets his hand at McCoy's throat and is like, say Vulcan one more fucking time, right? And he says, he's shit talking to him, you pointy-eared son of a bitch. And Spock's like, I don't think I like that. In fact, I don't think I've ever liked that. That moment was the message, was the post.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the comments you get, it was also somewhat common among men born in the 1930s and before who were close friends, even if they didn't serve in the military together. I know several best friends who'd be in their 80s, 90s who did that for years. If they weren't ribbing or joking with each other that way, something was wrong. These are not great arguments to the opposing side. There were a lot of people in the comments, I will give credit to, who were echoing a lot of the sentiments that we were making. McCoy was constantly racist towards Spock. I suspect trying to excuse or balance that aspect of the original series probably explains why later Vulcans are often written as so insufferable. Interesting thought. The anti-Vulcan hazing would have been cause for an HR grievance today.
Hell yes. There ain't no way you can talk to your coworkers like that. And even in the military now, I mean, I can imagine you'd be court-martialed or written up if you showed any sort of bigotry.
Now,
which rightly so.
Now, Mark's opinion of that, though, is that Star Trek was always woke. Agreed. And showing Bones as a bigot was part of exposing how our casual bigotry exists in the real world.
Okay.
Right? So was it a fragment of the writer's, creator's, producer's bias?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it an intentional thing to try to say, hey, look at this. This doesn't feel good, right? Because
Right.
it's not. I don't know.
I think they could have done it a better way of saying okay, do it in a few episodes, and then they have this big blowout, and then they come to quote unquote Jesus, and then Spock says, I don't like this, and I would really appreciate it if you try from now on to, and then leave it at that, and then they don't do it again. But they fucking kept doing it.
Yep.
So I don't know if it was supposed to teach us a lesson of how it's wrong.
At some point, they should have stopped it.
Show us a lesson, but they didn't stop it. And also, even in the 90s when TNG was out, they were still the military, and people, they didn't do that in TNG. They didn't they treated everyone with respect.
Except for broccoli.
Broccoli.
I think it's time we spoke to the captain about broccoli. That's what Wesley calls him. You keep that to yourself.
Lieutenant Barclay.
Oh, Barclay.
Remember they called him broccoli.
Yeah, we know that they were doing that to make a point as well.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And he was the character that they used when they needed to make that point of feeling insignificant, and
Yeah.
That's all I got. That's a lot.
Okay, and we've already done all of the other things. Oh wait, no, Allie, but wait, there's more.
Let's get right to business.
Fine, I'm authorized to pay an equitable price. Federation has invested a great deal of money in our training. They're about due for a small return.
Listen, we pay our percentages. We're entitled to a little service for our money, huh?
Is this the way your citizens do business? Their right of petition?
They pay their percentages and the boss takes care of them.
Is there anything else?
We need to announce a new patron.
Do we?
Drum roll. Welcome aboard, Lieutenant Kestrel.
Oh my gosh.
We know them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard, Noe and Kestrel. Well, I'm assuming Noe, unless Noe, you want to, create your own patron account.
That's the thing you can totally
fine
do.
with us.
Yeah.
But we met Noe and Kestrel and their friend Jackie at the Fort Collins Comic-Con, and had such a great conversation. And then I'm just so happy that they're part of the continuum. So yeah, thank you.
Love it. Listeners of Humanist Trek at Tanagra, the podcast, it's humor in laughter. Dathon on the Patreon Sea.
Shaka, when the reviews fell. Kahlo, his pledge at Patreon.
Humanist Trek, their content wide. Darmok and Jalad at Patreon. Pledge with arms wide.
Mirab, with your support, your laughter, Temba, his arms open.
Our admirals at Patreon. Russell at the Race of Natara. Ali, her arms with fists open. Peter and Sarah at Lunga. Sherry with sails unfurled.
Patreon.com/humanisttrek, where laughter flows. So Koth, in joyous unity.
I assume you're loitering around here to learn what efficiency rating I plan to give your cadets.
Trainees, to the briefing room. Is that all you gotta say? What about my performance?
Aren't you dead?
I don't believe this was a fair test of my command abilities. There was no way to win.
There's no correct resolution. It's a test of character.
Now, what is that supposed to mean?
I am understandably curious.
May I ask you a question?
Who's been holding up the damn elevator?
So do you want me to set it up?
Sure.
So we ran out of weed, and
okay.
I sent Becca to the weed store this morning, and that's why I'm 30 minutes late, because I was waiting for the weed man to get here.
She had to wait for her dealer. So I go in and I had my list, I had it pulled up in my shopping cart on my app for the store. And that way I didn't forget anything, because I've certainly done that before. And this guy, there's no better way to describe this guy that helped me at the store than as Cleveland Brown. Is that his name?
Cleveland, yeah.
From Family Guy? Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. He looked the part, and that was bad enough. But when this man opened his mouth.
What the hell?
No. I gotta stop taking my baths during Peter's shenanigans.
Oh my God. I was just like, It's like I had 3 things. I'm like, this one, that one, and every time, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then he's checking me out, and it was like everything that came out of his mouth, the tone, the dialect, he was Cleveland Brown.
Did you say to him, "Hey, has anyone ever told you?"
No. Oh my God. No.
You totally should have.
No.
Someone may have probably, if you noticed it, somebody else has noticed it.
I was like, dude, man. Oh God, it was so hard for me not to walk out of there. Like,
There's a little bit of me that wonders if maybe it's not like
a bit.
Oh yeah, they're fucking with you, right? Like when I worked at Disney in the ticket box, we would like speak with a British accent day. So the whole fucking day we would just, talk with shitty British accents. So I wonder if it's like
oh no, I don't know.
He might have been punking you.
Yeah.
I guess if you're that good at it, like, did they have a bet? Like, see, how long can you do this before someone calls you out and says, no?
Look, they work in a weed store.
Right.
Okay, well, I would fuck with people so hard if I did that every day.
It was like 9:30 in the morning on a Sunday. There was nobody there. Like, it's not even like, it was just funny. Anyway, I got a kick out of it, and I had to share that.
Becca has returned from the weed store to give us the answer to this week's Starfleet Academy Cadet Challenge. That story's funny because her dad was the biggest weed dealer in Broward County. So
nice.
She's just following the family
legacy. That's how my
legacy.
parents met. I mean, you gotta keep it in the family, I guess.
It's in your DNA.
Remind us the question for the Pirates of Orion.
Writer Howard Weinstein, I don't know, was at the time the youngest writer in Trek universe. How old was he when he wrote this episode?
And our answers were?
Sarah guessed 24. Ali guessed 21.
And the correct answer?
He was 19 years old.
Oh, I was going with 18.
Incorrect.
Damn, so do we both lose for going over?
Mm-hmm. Shit! He adopted...
Oh, well.
He adapted a short story that he had written for his high school science fiction magazine and mailed it to the show's producers.
Well, now you know why the show sucks, Allie. It was a
was written
high
by
school
high schoolers.
Science fiction story.
Well, I don't think the story itself didn't suck, but there were some other parts of it that suck that are purely Star Trek. So
yeah.
Well, we know all about science fiction writing in high schoolers. That sucks this week.
I think I have a Star Trek story that I wrote in high school somewhere around here.
There's a
you gotta
tub
dig
of
it up.
paperwork in the garage.
No, let's not do that.
Yeah, you got to dig it up.
No,
have you
I think we're
read
good.
the stuff that you've written 20 years ago and think, what the fuck was I thinking? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then never let this see the light of day.
Exactly.
All right, next week we'll be reviewing Star Trek The Animated Series Season 2, Episode 2, BEM. Let me read the description for this garbage episode.
Is this like a mushroom dream of Dr. Seuss? Because when I read BEM, I thought BIM beats broomsticks, BEM, whatever that stupid Fox and Socks book is.
It's definitely a mushroom song.
Oh, man. The Enterprise crew is being observed as their suitability to meet with advanced civilizations.
Yep.
What is our question for BEM?
Who was writer David Gerald's pick for the voice of the alien entity in this episode?
Writer David Gerald. He's got his SAG card now. He's like, bitches, give me some work.
Didn't we already do this?
No.
Oh, no.
No, it's
okay.
still, it's another David Gerald episode. And I just thought, just to torture you guys, actually this episode there was nothing. So this was the closest I could get to a question.
Who was his choice to play BEM?
Uh-huh.
Fucking
I guess, is BEM the alien entity?
Who knows?
I'll say Shatner. Shatner hadn't done any other voices, so I'd say Shatner. I have no idea. I'm totally guessing.
I'm going to stick with David Gerald himself. I have no idea. This is just shots in the dark. And if you'd like to shoot in the dark, you know how to do that. You know how to do that. Head out to your social media, share this episode, use the hashtag Starfleet Challenge with your answer. I'll check it maybe, and we'll pick out a winner. And next week, we'll discuss Star Trek The Animated Series, Season 2, Episode 2, Them.
Diftor Hech Smusma.
Kapla!
Humanist Trek is available wherever you replicate your podcast. Follow us on all the social medias at Humanist Trek. Become a patron at patreon.com/humanisttrek. Open hailing frequencies to podcast@humanisttrek.com and visit our website, humanisttrek.com. Humanist Trek is a production of Sarah Austin Media.